And here we are for round one. Yeah, let's play first. That seems like a thing we should do. This hand gets pretty good if we draw a blue, and is pretty terrible if we don't. It's actually really good if we draw a white. The upside of drawing a plains is Thief into Grasp of the Hieromancer. Okay, I have sold myself. A question that I have found useful to ask is if take one of your action cards away, do you keep it if it was a mull to 6? And if you do, you should probably consider keeping it. And that's the case here. We do have some dead draws, obviously, more white cards, or non-island. You know, island is not great, but I'm pretty sure there's a plains on top, so we're fine. Kind of don't want to get my Jesse and Teeth sold, but we can consider that, or we can consider a Watercourser here. Oh, he's doing that deck. Okay. So Watercourser may be better just because it can actually threaten to trade with those, rather than just letting them sit there. That explains why we didn't see any more Fairy Miscreants. As I understand it, this is a real deck with lots of 1-drops and Warhorns and that sort of thing. But if that's breaking him, then we're in pretty good shape. He's got a Jesse and Thief of his own. I think that means we just play ours and pass. I think ours gets a little better as we've got Bonds and Grasp of the Hieromancer in play, but we'll see what that works out to. He has managed to spew out his deck pretty quickly. Well, that's looking like a prime target for Bonds. Now that he's pumped it, I kind of just want to do it. Like, he's down to 3 cards. We're down to 3 cards. What happens? I Bonds that. We've got all the pressure off of us. And then we can just nice and slowly start to get value from there. Yeah, let's deal with this. I want that dealt with. I mean, he gets a little bit of value because it makes any more miscreants he draws better, but he loses a bit of value too because he's stuck with a 3-1 that doesn't really do anything. I kind of think I like just slamming the Disciple here and having all the blockers nice and set up. Because then our board is just supremely bigger than his. It is just a 3-4 on this board state, but that's okay. We've got stuff we can draw that blows this board state wide open, and presumably he's got some number of lands left to draw. We can also potentially play the Screeching Scab next turn, mill an instant or sorcery, and then be able to do things. Beautiful things. Okay, so he's hitting a nice little land pocket, which we like. We are too, which I don't like. But I think I like getting Screeching Scab on the table. It at least threatens to trade for one of these. And milling Turn to Frog means we can counter a thing, non-creature spell. Now playing Grasp now means we can attack in and tap down one of his guys, but he just blocks here, so it doesn't actually do anything for us. We could attack with the Watercourser, but he probably just blocks here, I guess. There's some argument to putting the Grasp here and attacking, because it gives us additional pumps. The Courser is holding back a lot of his board, but so is everything else, and we've got to start getting in kills somewhere. I guess we'd be pretty sad if he has a Disperse, but I can still replay the Watercourser. So let's say I play it and I attack. What do I tap? Probably the Maritime Guard. I don't hate that. He's just going to take it? Okay. Let's give him 4. Got to get in that damage somewhere. Ringwarden Owl. That's a bit of a problem, eh? Now we can tap a thing if we want to, right? Tap, pump him, or untap. Okay. Or counter a thing. I think I like leaving the counter up for a potential removal spell. We'll see how it works. Hitting this land flood, hurting us a little bit. We can buy ourselves a turn with that if we want to. I think we still attack here. Do I want to trade that for this guy? Yeah, I kind of do. So I guess we attack again and tap something somewhat irrelevant. The Maritime Guard, presumably. Like, we can pump this guy big enough to trade for most of his stuff. If he's not going to block, though, I'm just going to bring in the beats. You can take 6 from my Water Courser, yo. I don't think we need to tap his guy yet. I mean, he does have chump blocks forever. But we're currently ahead on the race. Bloodsucker gives him another flyer. That's a bit of a problem, eh? I mean, we're still ahead on the race. Stratus Walk. Well, now that gives us a flyer. So is there a way for me to kill him here? This deals 6. So if I just put the Stratus Walk here and tap his flyer, we just win the game. I kind of like winning the game. Well, this is only going to get through 5, and this will get through 3, so that's a dead opponent. I like dead opponents. Take that, people who said they don't like Stratus Walk. Let's make sure. I have 2 flyers. Oh, this isn't a flyer. I'm not thinking properly here. So I can block his flyers, is what I meant to say. Why did I think this had flying? All it can really do is tap that. So I can get in for 3 with it. Then I can tap one of his flyers. Yeah, I thought I could do more than I could actually do. Although having a big flying blocker is certainly going to be useful here. I think we need to get in with the Water Courser, but it's just going to get chump blocked. Presumably. He's got 2 damage to me here. Plus these 2. Plus if he has a spell, even more. So it may be that I'm actually not attacking here. Yeah, I think we're actually going to have to block one of his things. Let's go ahead and swing with the Water Courser. That needs to happen. We'll block, potentially tap, potentially pump. We'll see what we can do here. We'll have a Sigiled Starfish to block on the ground, which is not bad. I thought I had won the game, but I had not. We can't exactly tap him out, but... he's going to let us eat his thief. Seems good to me. That still leaves us plenty of blockers, and we can tap one of his flyers if we need to. Let's see when he goes to combat what he does. Alchemist Vial. We can counter that unless he plays 2, but I don't think it's going to do us a lot of good. Especially with him at 8. And it kind of makes us use this to tap his guy now. Yeah, we just have to let that resolve, unfortunately. I think it also means we have to tap his Ringwarden Owl now. Tap target creature, that one. So he does get in some damage here, but we're pretty happy to trade there and just block here. I guess actually the thief is potentially doing more for us. Is there a way we can get to kill him next turn? Because when we attack, we're going to tap that. So is the 2 damage relevant? Well, we'd potentially be coming in for a lethal attack. So that makes this a must block, possibly? So I'm trying to decide if I even care about this damage from him. Because we tap this, we can at least make him chump with that. There's a possibility he uses the vial. So I don't think I actually want to trade these off. I think they might be relevant as attackers next turn. So I think we'll just take his 2 damage. And we've got a lot of great draws still with all of our manas here. But I think I'd rather play to try to actually win than, you know, not to win. We'll see what his follow-up is, though. Could be something good. Scrappy. Yeah. He's got a little bit of a tempo deck going on here. Plains is one of the worst things we could draw. I think that means we probably just swing with this guy. We've got a pseudo-force lethal, which we can't do. Do I want to try to get this guy in to draw a card? Let's say we swing and we tap this. We can swing with this guy too. How dead are we? He's got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we're pretty dead here. Alright. Let's move to combat and see if he stops anything from attacking this turn. I think I would if I were him. If he doesn't, we can attack with the scab and the water courser and at least get this off the table. Potentially even this, and we'll just have to see if we get to combat. We do. Alright, so let's move to attackers. I think I can make him chump with both of these if we do this right. Okay, he doesn't want that to attack. I kind of don't blame him. I think that means we don't have good attacks now. I think that means we just have to hold back and block. So we're taking 5, 6, 7. We're pretty much just dead with what he's got, huh? So is there a way I can force him to block here? I guess I attack with this, he blocks here. I attack with this, he takes it. I attack with this, he potentially takes it. That puts him to 5. That is not dead. Now that vial was a pretty sweet rip for him. So are the chances of me attacking and drawing a card to stabilize better than the chances of him having nothing? It's probably all for naught. Yeah, I'm gonna make him go ahead and finish the game. Looking back at that Stratus Walk play, it may have been better just to put that on the water courser and try to finish him out. For whatever reason, I was thinking this guy couldn't be blocked anyway. It's just a matter of not reading cards. And it turns out the Scryfish is never going to get to scry. Big question of whether or not he wants to play around anything at all here or just go for it. If I'm him, I imagine I go for it. Like all he has to do is attack with both elves and the drakes. If I had chosen to trade for one of those next turn, we'd have been in pretty good shape now. Yeah, that's game. Alright. So we need to get elves in our decks. We block here, we block there, we block there. It doesn't matter, we're done. Alright, so he's kind of a classic Black Blue Skies deck. We'd like to do basically anything we can to reduce our curve. Tragic Arrogance looks great. Bone to Ashes, a little too non-impactful here to actually do anything. I kind of like Enlightened Aesthetic. It looks like this would be a job. Sounds like a job for Yoke Docs. But ironically, it's terrible at blocking those 1/2s. You really need something that can threaten to kill them. And that just can't. I don't think we can afford to play something as dirtily as like the Sphinx's tutelage here. Taking out the Bone of the Ash for the aesthetic is fine too, because he's likely to have some bonded constructs in that deck as well, which it can at least block. I'm wondering about playing my own Fairy Miscreant just to block his, but that seems a bit ambitious. Calculated Dismissal might be okay over the Heart Beast, even though it searches up our stuff. This lets us interact a little bit early. I do generally hate this card, but I think this is actually a matchup where I want it. Alright, let's bring it in. Yep, like to play first. And yeah, we'll keep this. It's not great, but Scryfish makes a lot of hands keepable, and provided he doesn't have the Elf Pinger, we should be in pretty decent shape. Oh, well, of course he has the Elf Pinger. It'll only deal us 1 damage instead of 2, though, so I suppose that's a thing. He likely has a bunch of claustrophobias, too, which is not irrelevant. And the Shambling Ghoul. Ghoulishly delicious. I think we hold this guy because he's likely to play something, and we'll get a Scry next turn. So this puts us taking 2 damage a turn, which is a little scary. But if he puts like a, you know, Infernal Scarring on one of these dudes, we can take a hit and then knock it off. If the Claustrophobia is our Scryfish, we can knock it off. Hey, knock it off. Yeah, there's the Scarring. So we're going to take 4 off of that thing now. But at least we won't have to deal with it again later. Wouldn't mind something here that can deal with, like, block one of these and kill it. The Disciple's going to stabilize us pretty handily, but we've got to get to that point first. He's thinking through his effects. Wouldn't mind a 2-drop here. Hey, look, a 2-drop. So this seems like a pretty easy turn of Aesthetic, pop your Infernal Scarring, Scab to make fuel for the Disciple, and we've got pretty good blocks for next turn. Got a Disperse and a Topin Freeblade. Would have liked to have drawn the Topin Freeblade, but that's alright. Here we can potentially threaten to double block Leghoul. But I kind of just want to trade for this guy and block here. That takes a good bit of the beats away. Get rid of lands. No, Void Mage is fine. In fact, I'm actually going to do that this turn. Because it's possible he has some sort of counter spell or removal spell. Well, it is better when you have more pressure. Yeah, if he doesn't have specifically calculated dismissal, then this is way better. And I don't think I want to play around calculated dismissal. I may as well attack first. The upside of playing the other card is that means when we do play the Disciple, we could even have a counter spell up for removal for it, which I kind of like, but he's got to specifically have removal right now. Bloodsucker's not so bad. We can survive that. Alright, let's cry land to the bottom. because 6 is really all you ever need. Oh, do I want that? It's not bad. It's action at least. I think we actually Void Mage the Bloodsucker and get in a hit and try to make this life total a little more in our favor. I'm going to tap out a blue for it, so maybe he has to play around a Celestial Flare. I don't know that that actually does much for him, but it could. That one. So now I can swing here, and the next turn we can potentially tap that and get in for more. We'll see. This seems like a decent board state. We're a bit low on action, but we know we're always going to get at least a good shot at action with our Scryfish doing work here. So now there's a possibility to tap the Ghoul at the end of the turn so we can tap with both. Let's see what we've got coming up before we make that decision. Calculated Dismissal. Like I said, I really dislike that card, especially with the amount of 1-drops that he's got. But it's probably okay here. So that means I'm gonna tap out next turn, which means I probably should tap this and just get in the damage. Like that puts us hitting him for 5. And him swinging back for 3. That seems fine. It's going to force him to commit more to the board, which should make the Calculated Dismissal better. And then we can use that as more tap fuel. And I doubt he trades that for a Void Mage. So hopefully he tries to cast something big here. Like Island Ringwarden Owl would be pretty good for us. He probably just brings the beats, which is fine too. Well, there's the island. He could go for the owl now. He does have the benefit of knowing that whatever's in my hand I kept, so it could theoretically be a counterspell. He may be deciding which one to play around now. Because Clash of Wills does one thing, something else does another, but that's kind of the play we were hoping for. Because I think if the math is right, we just win here. Right? We untap, tap that, swing for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. So he's got to have another archer here. And he doesn't. Alright, so going on the draw against this deck, again, I'd like to lower the curve as much as possible. I want to get the Calculated Dismissal out now that he's seen it. Because it's fairly easy to play around if you've seen the darn thing. I might just want to Yoked Ox. Or maybe just bring back the Heart Beast. Like, there's nothing for Psychic Rebuttal to get. Nivix Barrier doesn't really do a whole lot for us. I feel like if we have the right draw, we can kind of get around a lot of this. I still like the Ascetic, even though we only saw one enchantment from him. It doesn't play particularly well with the ghouls that he has. Like those do a pretty good job of gumming up the ground and taking the game to the air, where I think he has a decided advantage against us. That said, we've got some pretty powerful cards in here. Let's just run this back. We've yet to see some of our most powerful cards in this set. Speaking of our most powerful cards, there they are. It's got infinite 2-drops and a 6-drop that kind of just stabilizes for us. And a Scryfish to get us to the lands we need to play them. I like what's happening here. I think I like Topin Freeblade as my 2-drop of choice. The chance that it gets in is significantly better than anybody else. Although, of note, it can't block that. So what actually holds off the most damage next turn? The Maritime Guard blocks this guy and leaves us taking 2. The Freeblade conceivably holds this off and leaves us taking 2. But I think the possibility of the Freeblade getting in and the fact that it has Vigilance holding this back is enough. Then we can potentially Guard or Starfish next turn and be in pretty good shape. Alright, he's going to let us get it Renowned, it looks like, which is good. Land is kind of what we wanted to draw. I kind of want to get another thing with power on the board, which makes me interested in the Scab. Like, we only need to draw one more land naturally, and we're way ahead this game. And Scab also threatens to trade with that, so it does hold back pretty much the same amount of damage, although the Starfish gives us a lot of value the longer this game goes. I'm going to run with the Scryfish first. Both of them prevent about the same amount of damage. As long as he's not attacking, we're pretty happy. I guess there's an argument for playing the Scryfish too, because if I'm able to hit another island next turn, I can play both of these. So I'm trying to decide if we want to do the upkeep Scab, I think, or upkeep Scry. I think we do, because we're going to have a blocker down anyway, and I'd really like to hit an island here. Conceivably, a Grasp of the Hieromancer would be pretty good too. But island's just perfect. So do I want to attack with this and trade it for potentially one of those two? I kind of think I do. He's got to respect the trick. And let's say I trade it for the Ghoul. I've still got blockers for the other two. Seems fine to me. He may also just take it, which is fine. But getting his stuff off the board can't be a bad thing. We can potentially put a Knightly Valor on our Scryfish. Yeah, him just taking it's even better. Mill to Turn to Frog and a Stratus Walk, which is a little sad, but we'll survive. And he's had enough. I like it. All right, cool. We'll see you for the next round in just a minute.